Hello, welcome to another Meatless Monday. Today we're making black bean and beet burgers. And this recipe, which I have on paper, so I'm gonna have to type this up for you guys. Or maybe I'll take a picture and I can put it on my Instagram and then you can see it. So go check it out and hopefully there's an image there. And if not, maybe I'll put it like at the end of the video and then you can just pause and look at it. That doesn't seem as effective as on Instagram, so I'll probably just put it there. But this recipe I actually got because I took a cooking class and it was through the company that I work for, and I had just moved to like a new city. And I'm like, well, I don't know anybody. Like this would be like a good way to like break the ice and meet people. And so what I signed up for was a summer barbecue cooking class. And I'm like, well, that sounds fantastic. But it filled up instantly and I didn't make it. But I was on the wait list and they're like, well, if anybody drops out, we'll put you in. Nobody dropped out. But there's enough other people on the wait list that they're like, well, clearly there's a demand for this. We'll make a second cooking class and we'll just sign you all up for that. But the second cooking class was a vegetarian cooking class. I don't know if it had like a broader title, but it was just all vegetarian stuff. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. So I was going to drop out. And then I thought to myself again, I'm like, well, I don't really like, at the time I wasn't really cooking anything vegetarian. So I'm like, I don't really make anything vegetarian. I probably should, widen my horizons. So this clearly will be good recipes that they're gonna show to us. So I should probably still take the class and like that'll be like a good exposure to that. And here I am like 6 years later still making it. So clearly it's a good one. And also the fact that I've just like kept track of this, or the fact that I haven't memorized it is a little concerning, but I mean, I'm almost there one of these days. So this recipe, obviously, like I said, vegetarian. It's almost vegan. It has cheese in it, so if you swap the cheese out, then it would be vegan. But what I'm gonna make today is vegetarian because I like cheese. And so without further ado, let's hop into the ingredients. And because, like I said, there's not a website, I'm gonna list like the volume of everything, as well as I'm gonna try and provide you the recipe itself. But just to kind of make things a little bit easier, I'll explain stuff out a little bit more just so that you got the information rather than what I usually do of just kind of hand wavy cooking. So let's run through the ingredients and then we'll get into cooking. Olive oil, half a cup of minced onion, half a cup of finely grated beets, 3 garlic cloves, 1 can of black beans, half a cup of breadcrumbs, a quarter cup of flour, 2 tablespoons of chopped parsley, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, half a cup of cooked mashed sweet potatoes, 4 ounces of white cheddar, arugula, and balsamic vinegar. So the first step is like the prep step. So kind of get everything that you need to in ordered. So like in my case, like I made some breadcrumbs, and the sweet potatoes I did on their own, so you're not gonna see that, but I mean, it's just boiling sweet potatoes. And you're going to need to use like a food processor to grate the beets, as well as I shred the cheese myself, and chopping the onions, the parsley, and the garlic. So kind of get all that done. And then after that, it's pretty smooth sailing in terms of the cooking process. It's just like stovetop, food processor, stovetop, done. So I may have not hit the on button when trying to film me grating the beets. So my bad, but it's just use a food processor with like the grating attachment. You're not missing much, so don't worry there. The next step is going to be the actual cooking step of you're gonna put the onions and the beets into a pan with a little bit of oil and cook them. I typically am going to do the onions a little bit first to kind of cook them up a bit because the beets have a fair bit of moisture in them, so it kind of just starts steaming everything. So I like to kind of make the onions a little golden. Like, you don't want to do anything too crazy, but just like kind of get there, then you add the beets in and then cook until it's soft. And then after those are both cooked, add in the garlic for about a minute. So now the next step is to put almost everything into the food processor. So we're gonna take the onion, beet, and garlic mix thing that we just cooked, put that in the food processor, along with the beans, the breadcrumb, the flour, the lemon juice, the parsley, and also it wants to put in some salt and pepper, kind of just like a little bit seasoning there. It didn't list salt and pepper in the ingredients, so obviously, you know, this might catch you a little off guard, but sorry. So just, you know, a little bit of salt and pepper seasoning, and then pulse until it's all incorporated, and then you should be good to go. So the next step is to mix the cheese that we've grated, the sweet potatoes that are already cooked. You know, I didn't show that because that kind of takes the longest. And I started that beforehand and then realized, like, what am I doing? I'm supposed to film this. And I'm like, they know how to boil things. And then also the stuff that we just mixed together in the food processor, stir all that up until it's kind of like an even consistency. It's not the prettiest thing. I'm just gonna say, like, you're gonna see it, but like, just from past experience, I know it ain't cute. Like, the end product, this is gonna be, I'm sure that like nobody's watching this because the thumbnail's probably gonna look atrocious, but I promise it's good. So stick with it. So, I was gonna say math is not my strong suit, but I did actually enjoy math in all education levels that I took it in. However, today it has betrayed me because I forgot that ounces, or when converting from pounds to ounces, is 16 ounces is a pound. I was thinking of cups, which is 8 ounces is a cup. And so I have half a pound of cheese, and this calls for 4 ounces of cheese. And I'm like, well, half of 8 is 4, so we're good to go. And then as I'm mixing, I'm like, this is a lot of cheese, and it kind of clicked in my head. I was like, oh, that's because it's 8 ounces that I have in here, not 4. So learn from my mistakes and convert correctly. The next step is the cooking step. So I'm gonna have to make this all into like a burger patty kind of looking thing, throw that on a pan, but all that cheese might just make this turn to goop. So we're gonna see how that goes. Then after that, it's just gonna be kind of like plated up, which will be, in my case, I'll probably just put it on arugula straight up with some balsamic vinegar and extra virgin olive oil on top. But it's also very good on like a burger bun, if you have one of those, or in my case, I usually just use gluten-free bread, toast that, put it on there. That's pretty tasty as well. But you know, they are meant to be burgers, but you can kind of eat them however you want. It's delicious no matter what. It's just all about avenue of like how to get it to your mouth. Do you want to use a fork? Do you want to use your hands? That's up to you. So like I said, it ain't cute, but it's tasty. So as you can see here, the beets give it a bit of a raw meat look, which I think, like, to me, is what kind of makes me drawn towards it a little bit more, because it's a like fun, natural way to make it look like fake meat. Because you have a lot of these products out there where like, oh, it's like fake chicken and it looks like grilled chicken, but it's just soy or whatever. So this is kind of cool where it's like a burger and it kind of does look like a burger. Granted, it looks like an uncooked burger, but it's still in that department and it's not like trying to do that. It's just the beets being the color that they are have that effect. And I respect that. A little bit of admin because I did not mention it when I filmed it, but when you're handling beets, I would recommend using a glove because it will stain your hands. And washing off, I don't know if the temperature of the water, but like I know with garlic, you should rinse your hands afterwards with like cold water because the heat will actually kind of like bake it into your fingers and then you don't have garlic hands forever. And so I kind of do the same thing with the beets because I only wear a glove on one hand. And so the other, like, I don't have any stains on it and I just rinse it off with cold water. I don't know if that's like a speed, like quickly rinsing it off afterwards, or the cold has some kind of effect. But that's the knowledge I have for you. But some more knowledge. This I'll let you do with what you will, and don't ask me how I know this. But if you eat a lot of beets, it does turn your pea red, or a shade of red. Depending on how many you've had, it can get very red, or it can be kind of like tinted. So I will say, like, I don't know, you can't really, I was gonna say you could prank somebody, but I really hope that nobody's seeing your pee. But I'm telling you this so that if you eat this and you're like, this is delicious, I want to eat a ton of it, and then you go to the bathroom and you're like, am I dying? You're not. So don't worry. I mean, you might be from something else, but at least the red pea is probably being caused by this. If it happened right after this, you're probably fine. If it somehow happened before this, seek medical attention. And on that note, bye Mom, still not dead. See ya.